Shields up, Iron Breakers. Rurikhan here coming at you with another video. Welcome back to Monster Hunter World, and today we're going to be talking about my dual blades build. The name of the build is the Crimson Blur, and that is of course because it's got a lot of red armor and because with dual blades you're going to be moving pretty damn fast. So let's get this started. First we got the weapon. Although this particular build you can use whatever weapon you want, I would however advise you try to get something in the neutral affinity range or at least positive affinity. Like that would be really good, because unfortunately I don't think this build is going to be as good if you are using negative affinity weapons, so keep that in mind. Now the weapon that I am using is fire and ice. Now the reason I'm using this weapon is because I find it to be an interesting weapon. It's got the dual elements thing, and I know some people are going to be like, oh, but in the meta sense of things it's actually not that great. I genuinely don't know. I just actually like the weapon. I like the fact that it's got ice and blast, and so I figured, hey, I'll do a build around it. It's also got a nice tier 2 slot, and you guys know I like having my slots, put all my skills in there and all that good stuff. So we're using fire and ice, and it's going to be a really good time. So let's get this started. Before I actually start with the build itself, I should mention that this build was inspired by a build that I've seen previously. Now, I've seen this build in one of Eric's Mixed Set Mondays videos, and this was a build by a user named Zelda Hunter. I want to make sure I give credit where credit is due. I did modify the build a little bit, but essentially certain portions of this build were inspired by that user. So in case you guys have seen a build that is similar to this before, that's where you guys might have seen it, and I want to make sure that I don't steal someone else's work just willy-nilly, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, let's get it started. On the headpiece we got the Rathalos helm beta. This is because I actually want to get attack boost, because the build itself doesn't have a lot of slots left for attack boost on account of one of the set bonuses that I want to get. So I wanted to get at least 2 parts that gave us attack boost so that we could get that 5% affinity. One of those parts is going to be the Rathalos helm beta. Then we got the Dobermail beta, because obviously, like I said, I want to have 2 pieces with attack boost. Those 2 pieces are going to be the Rathalos helm beta and the Dobermail beta. That's going to give us up until 4 attack boost, which is going to give us an additional 5% affinity, which is always good, and it also gives us naturally some attack boost. Then we got the Kaiser Vambrace's Alpha. Naturally, this has weakness exploit, which is pretty damn good. And to top it off, it is also the first piece of the Teostra set, because we are going after that Teostra bonus. Next up, we got the Kaiser Coil beta. This right here has blast attack level 2. Now, some of these parts, you guys might exchange them for alpha parts. I'm using beta parts because I have all of the decorations required to get the additional bonuses that I want, and it keeps me with a piece of gear that is a little bit more freeing. If I want to use it in a different build, it's going to have a little bit more variety available to it. So next up we got the Kaiser Greaves beta. This is going to give us Latent Power 2. This is not necessarily a skill that I'm gunning for. It's mostly because out of all the other parts of the Teostra set, the legs is the only thing that was actually going to give us anything positive. And it is the beta version because, like I said, I have all of the decorations that I could possibly want. If you guys want to get a different point in there, you can get the alpha version. That also works. And then to finish things off, we got the Handicraft Charm 3, because one of the things that I wanted to prioritize in this build was getting white sharpness on the dual blades, because whereas the original build that was made by Zelda Hunter was going for 100% affinity, I'm not going for that. I'm going for heavy affinity, but also white sharpness for additional damage, okay? Taking a quick look at the decorations here, you'll notice that on the Kaiser Greaves beta we got a frost jewel. That is because I'm trying to get as much out of that frost element of the swords as possible. Then on the Kaiser Coil beta you have a critical jewel. I'm only using 1 jewel for critical boost because I prioritize different things, like I said. Then on the Vambrace's Alpha we have another frost jewel, really raising up that frost damage. Now, in case you guys are fighting a monster that is not particularly vulnerable to frost, you guys might want to replace these 2 frost jewels by something else that is a little bit more useful for whatever situation you happen to be in. I mostly just use these frost jewels unless I'm fighting something like a Kushala the Aura, at which point I might replace them by something else. Then on the Dobermail beta, we got the Tenderizer Jewel 2, maxing out our weakness exploit. On the Rathalos Helm beta, we got the Blast Jewel 1, which is going to max out our blast attack, which is going to be important because, like I said, the duels that we're using have blast and frost. And then finally, on the fire and ice duels, we are using the Sharp Jewel 2 because, like I said, we don't have 100% affinity. Therefore, our sharpness is going to decrease as we attack the monster more and more. So I'm just trying to make sure that it decreases as slowly as possible. And trust me, this build should give you a very decent amount of time in white sharpness, okay? Finally, looking at the finalized build, we got attack boost level 4, blast attack level 3 capped out, weakness exploit level 3 capped out, handicraft level 3 getting us into white sharpness at a comfortable level with the additional fact that we're going to be having the Teostra technique bonus. This means that whenever we crit, we're actually not going to lose sharpness, so we're going to stay there for a good long while. Then we got Ice Attack level 2, like I said, that is optional. You can change that around, as well as Blast Attack, by the way. I mean, the set itself is going to have Blast Attack, so you might want to use duels that at the very least have Blast. At least that's my personal advice to you guys, but you can use whatever duels you want. Just remember that at the very least you're going to have 2 blast points in there because of the Kaiser Coil beta, which is one of the parts that we're using to get the Teostra technique bonus. Therefore, this set naturally benefits from a blast weapon, but you don't have to do it. You can use it with whatever dual swords you want. Just keep in mind you're still going to have those 2 points in there, and keep in mind that you should also have duels that have positive affinity or at least neutral affinity. Continuing downwards, we have Latent Power level 2. This is not a skill that I'm actively gunning for, but it is there on the Teostra set, so I figured, hey, might as well get this over getting something that is not as useful as this. And Latent Power, essentially what that means is if you're fighting the monster for 5 minutes or you take 180 damage, it is going to increase your affinity, and it's also going to reduce your stamina consumption, so it's still pretty damn useful. Then we got that 1 level of critical boost, which will increase the damage we deal with our crits, as well as the protective polish. And then finally, we have Teostra's technique, Master's Touch, which means whenever you crit, you actually don't lose sharpness. Now, to round things out, I actually put in a health regen on the blades as well. That is optional. It's not something that you have to do, but my objective with this build is to not have that much maintenance. So basically try to have as much time on target as possible without requiring you to actually stop in order to sharpen or stop in order to heal. So you're going to have a lot of uptime on top of the monster just dishing out damage. Personally, I really like it. I think it's a really fun build. What do you think about it? Let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.